Wrestling Dominion 2018 was held on June 9th, 2018. Okay, now I'm not going to do a full show because I didn't watch the full show. I skipped like, let's see, there were a total of 9 matches and I saw 4. I saw the Young Bucks versus the Ungovernables of Japan, Sandra and Evil. I saw Hiromu Takahashi versus Will Ospreay for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. I saw Chris Jericho versus Tetsuya Naito for the Intercontinental Championship of IWGP. And Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada in a no time limit 2 out of 3 falls match for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship of the world. So when I had heard this, the one deciding factor that made me say I have to watch this. I don't care if I procrastinate. I gotta watch it and discuss this because let's be real. Chris Jericho was on the show, and I was like, there, I gotta see it. And yeah, because Chris Jericho is the one that made me become a permanent fan of, maybe get a more vested interest in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and in fact that Chris Jericho is trying to bring wrestling industry together by going to New Japan, having some role with Ring of Honor, working with Impact Wrestling, the 3 top promotions that are not WWE, all coming together as part of the cruise of Jericho. Sail on through, man! So this has been a big deal for Chris Jericho. It would be probably his greatest work achievement if he is able to do the impossible. I'll get to that in a little bit. But the Young Bucks versus the Ungovernables. I would try to pronounce their Japanese name, but I will not try to because I will probably screw it up big time. Consisting of Sanda and I think I got that wrong, and Evil. Yeah, I don't know why his name is called Evil. That just screams heel. But the story surrounding the Young Bucks and like the Ungovernables of Japan had to do with the whole moving to the heavyweight division, and basically that's it. Basically the key storyline is they challenged them and they accepted. So really there is no big storyline. They were just made shortly after. And okay, the challenge happened after Wrestling Doku's at the first night of wrestling, whatever. I'm not gonna try and pronounce it again. The Young Bucks came out and challenged them, and they accepted, and the match was declared shortly after. Simple and effective. So we get this big match, and I was gonna watch this because I kept these were the recommended matches I was going for. So yeah, here's the thing: it's been months since the whole. I'm trying to remember which Young Buck it was. I keep thinking I want to say Nick, but I could be wrong. They have been having this back issue. One of them had been having this back issue. It's been going on for months now, and okay, it had to have healed by now, even with some suspension of disbelief. He can't be doing these high quality performances in the tag team division and be told his back's that busted to linger for months. But nonetheless, yeah, it was Matt. So, yeah. And I love the continuity and connection with Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling with the storyline. In fact, a lot of it. So Nick and Sanda started off with basically, the Young Bucks trademark maneuvers. The bag was mostly one of the key talks and whatnot. I did enjoy that, like I said. And yeah, I was curious as to know, Will the Young Bucks actually win this match? I don't know if they would win in their first outing for the heavyweight titles. And yeah, there was a lot of big moments where I cringed, mostly having to see tombstone pile drivers because I don't really see them anymore, specifically in WWE because they banned them for neck safety. At least that's what I've been told, but behind the scenes they just say they just don't want to get sued to cover their asses. Except unless it's The Undertaker or Kane, that they're exempt from it. They can do it. So, yeah. This match is freaking awesome. Everything about this match is freaking awesome. I demand the Young Bucks be given, and they won the match. I was a little surprised they won the match, and that was the beginning of a night full of surprises for me, because I was thinking, like, I think this is their first outing, isn't it? I could be wrong because I don't really watch all the shows. I watch specific matches and mostly look on the internet to get my storytellings, to get more layers to it instead of just going in watching a match just straight up and not know the context. But yeah, from what I've been hearing, this was their first attempt and they've already won it. And I'm impressed with them, and the last 5 minutes was really awesome. And of course, the Young Bucks continue the tradition of the super kick party, which is also fun and awesome. And okay, here's the difference when WWE does the super kick so much and the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks look like they're having actual fun and want to have a high personality class to it. WWE is like, well, everyone saw Shawn Michaels do it. Let's give it to Dolph Ziggler. Then let's give it to Tyler Breeze. Then let's give it to Fandango to an extent. Then let's give it to Kevin Owens. Then probably Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. And oh my god, we've killed the super kick, haven't we? Even if we got Shawn Michaels to come back somehow, it won't have the same effect. Oh, and let's not forget, like, half of NXT does it. And I'm like thinking, like, okay, there has to be a moment in WWE they have to do this where I kept saying, if they ever do a fatal 4-way or a tag team match, I want all of them to simultaneously super kick themselves in the middle of the ring. That would honestly be freaking awesome. I know it seems physically impossible, it could be, but crazier things have happened before. But, I did love... Sorry, I'm a little tired. I did love this storytelling they were going for, and the Young Bucks are just awesome, and I really still hate that WWE was so butthurt over the fact that, how dare they use trademark hand signs that we're saying we own, even though really that makes no sense. It kind of has illegal practices by denying people the right to have freedom of expression. We're petty like that. And we're going to use a hand gesture and say it was made in WCW, even though historical records show that it happened in WWE and it even happened before that. But we're gonna quote our Vince McMahon's best friend Trump. That's fake news. You hear me? That's fake news. Don't believe your eyes. See the footage of Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, aka Diesel, and Razor Ramon, and X-Pac, and Triple H all hugging it out and breaking character. Oh wait, never mind, not X-Pac. But still, ignore that. That's fake. Fake! So yeah, I'm still mad about that. I've been pretty subtle about it, haven't I? Not really. I skipped the Bullet Club match against Hiroshi Tanahashi, Jushin Thunder Liger, and Rey Mysterio Jr. I just wasn't as interested in it. I watched a little bit of it. But I did love that Cody and Bray were back together fighting because they haven't fought in how long in WWE? In the wrestling world? I can't remember. But okay, let's move on. Hiromu Takahashi versus Will Ospreay. Okay. Will Ospreay. Oh boy, where do I begin with this? I haven't watched the Marty Scurll match he had, but I do know that incident that happened at Sakura Genesis. Basically, if those who haven't seen it, then congrats. Will Ospreay did this maneuver on Marty Scurll on the ring apron side, and his neck twisted in such a way hitting the apron side that everyone thought he was either going to get killed or he was going to get his neck snapped in half. Or both. And from what I kept thinking, I was thinking like, wait, was this the first 5 to 10 minutes? Because according to the match, like, they still have like an additional 20 or so minutes. So, yeah, they somehow managed to work this match and still pull off a classic despite the snapped neck. And they had to write that in somehow. And even crazier, he was still working at a high level. So I was like, awesome. And then after Hiromu Takahashi went on to win the Best of the Super Juniors, he earned another shot at Will Ospreay's title in the process, which is why he has that slick trophy with him during his entrance. And sure enough, yeah, it was gold. We got gold here. It's freaking awesome. I did love that the commentators even pointed this out, that, why is Will Ospreay acting so heelish? More aggressive than usual. And I'm just thinking, well, no, duh, his neck's busted. He's going to try and end the match quickly before he gets too energetic. And of course, he gets energetic in the middle of the match. And this was a 20-minute match. I'm still wondering how he pulled off a great match. There is no way. I was honestly scared before, scared for Will Ospreay especially. Like, all those numerous neck shots that was given to him, like pile drivers and whatnot, I was cringing at Hurricanranas, and I was thinking like, oh, I'm a little surprised he still is able to go at such a high level. And I'm surprised they went with, okay, kick him in the head multiple times, do as best you can. Oh, and just don't die, okay? And yeah, they landed on their heads at least once in this match, and they still kept going. Yeah, and I was so worried for Will Ospreay, especially. Like I said, his neck is in question to me. I don't know if things have improved, but I was a little surprised and impressed that he was able to keep going at such a high level of speed and agility, and even show a hint of the dark side. Yeah. But I love this match. Freaking awesome. I demand... I surprisingly, Hiromu Takahashi won. But, I was expecting Will Ospreay was going to hold that title a little bit longer, because Will Ospreay's been such on a hot streak, especially after his match with Marty Scurll at Sakura Genesis. You would think they would let him have the title for a little bit longer, though at the same time, I get the feeling part of it. I could be wrong. I don't keep track of the independent wrestling news or the Japan wrestling news. I kept thinking, like, is Will Ospreay going on a little bit of a break to recover from nagging injuries? Like, especially the incident at Sakura Genesis? Like, I could get that. So, Hiromu Takahashi is your new junior champion of the world! You hear me? The world! Junior Heavyweight Champion of the world. And sincerely hope both guys are okay and nothing long-term damage is given to them. Now let's get to the match that is bringing wrestling fans all over the world together in peace and harmony and creating a shared wrestling universe. What's that? What do I mean by a shared wrestling universe? Well, I keep hoping that in any event, either Vince or more likely Triple H, since they have been more open, since Triple H is more open with the independent wrestling than Vince will ever be. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's trying to find ways to punish the UK wrestlers for daring to work in somewhere else while still being, quote, under contract. I've said this already in the Jimmy Jacobs video and the Corey Graves video in the terms of doing something that Vince that believes is siding with the enemy, or at least siding that doesn't involve him. Chris Jericho, on the other hand, when I had heard that he was challenging Kenny Omega, I was like, congrats, you killed your WWE career to an extent, because I don't think Vince will want to use you for a while. At least until it gets over and moves on, or forgets. You better hope he forgets. But I knew, like, Jericho doesn't need WWE. He can go anywhere. He can do his Fozzy tour, he can keep writing his books, he can go wrestle somewhere else, and I'm glad he chose to wrestle somewhere else while doing all these other projects, because, let's be real, he's kind of bringing wrestling together in my mind, because, think about it, Chris Jericho is in New Japan Pro Wrestling right now. Chris Jericho is now starting to work with Impact Wrestling and is hinting at something there with that guy who played the hacker gimmick in NXT that didn't really last long, and he left soon after, even though it had a lot of promise. But still. And then there's the Cruise of Jericho, which has all three of the top promotions of the country in the world. New Japan, Ring of Honor, and TNA Impact Wrestling. Well, it's just called Impact Wrestling, but I still remember it as TNA. But, I love it. I love that Chris Jericho, who was an ECW guy, then a WCW guy, then a WWE guy, now is, hey, I'm a wrestling guy. It's just so fun, and I really do hope he's able to somehow, even if it's not his intention or not, to create the dream for me, the wrestling shared universe. Because while we have all these independent promotions working together, I want to see WWE join in on the fun. Imagine all the promising ideas they can do. Having wrestlers show up on different shows and having more friendly relations with the other promotions and not have Vince have any role whatsoever. Like, imagine if they brought Bray Wyatt to fight Pentagon Jr. in Lucha Underground or somewhere else, or Impact Wrestling. Okay, that actually could be interesting. So long as Brock Lesnar is not part of the shows, I will be okay with that. He can go and whine in UFC about how he's basically getting everything he wants and not having to work for a living to an extent. But I digress. Jericho, after his loss to Kenny Omega for the IWGP US title, he, less than 24 hours afterwards, attacked Tetsuya Naito to hint that they were going to do a match together. That match was then canceled when Jericho kept saying he was done, even though I kept thinking, yeah, he's not done. But then it was announced that the match between Tetsuya Naito and Chris Jericho that was set to be planned for Strong Style Evolved was canceled because of Jericho's other commitments. I was like, okay, that's disappointing, but yeah, I hope they come back to this. Sure enough, after Tetsuya Naito won the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, we were like, well, let's see, he's Intercontinental Champion, and he's already gunning for, yeah, we know where this is going. Oh boy, that's gonna be interesting. Like, really, really interesting. And Jericho attacks Tetsuya Naito after he won. At sometime after he won the IC championship, and it was then announced that Naito would be defending his title against Chris Jericho at Dominion. And oh my god, if Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada were not building up a match between them round 4, I would have said, okay, yep, this is it. This should be the main event. If nothing else, then for the promos they cut on each other. Especially Chris Jericho doing this very creative promo where he had said he was bicycling somewhere, he found a turtle and was like, okay, let's do a promo with this. I want to do a promo with this. And came up with an idea and made it work. And I'm thinking, like, you can't imagine Vince approving this. Like, yes, it's Jericho, but he punished Jericho once because he dared say that wrestlers should be given more creative freedom in promos and forced him to do that cringeworthy New Day promo joke. So, yeah. And let's say that wasn't really true that Vince did that. Okay. Vince would still want some degree of control. He can't imagine not giving wrestlers free will to create a promo. Like, even Bray Wyatt, he was writing promos, but he still had to give them to Vince and the creative team, and they could edit it. So really, part of Bray Wyatt's promo, while it was his, parts of it was not put in. Parts of it was probably cut out. Which means we would never see a blood promo where Bray Wyatt is drenched in blood and giving off a cryptic, disturbing message. That would have been awesome. I mean, like, he did a murder implied promo in FCW where he talks about his daddy and how much he hated him, and then explaining that his dad burned alive in a boating accident, and Bray Wyatt is suspiciously holding a lighter, which gives hints that he might have killed his dad. Ah, yes, and we were at one point supposed to cheer for him, correct? Because everyone did start cheering for a potential murdering character. They wouldn't say he was a murderer because it's PG, but still, this was FCW, and even though it had more leeway, they couldn't go and directly downright say murder. So the commentators of New Japan Pro Wrestling during the Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega match kept saying murder a lot. But I'll get to that when I can. So, Chris Jericho comes out with the Judas song he made, and someone told me, I'm trying to remember who, I believe it was someone at Hot Topic when I was talking to them about wrestling, I had realized they had told me about the song Judas. Apparently, Chris Jericho came up with that song in relation to what happened with Kevin Owens at the Festival of Friendship. If that's true, that gives the feud a whole new layer. A seriously big layer. So, yeah. Yeah, and Chris Jericho, of course, looks like he's trying to impersonate the Clockwork Orange characters, specifically the main character. I'm trying to remember his name. I haven't watched it in a long time, but still. And Tetsuya Naito wears his powerful white suit and looking nonchalant about it, until Chris Jericho kicks his ass for like at least 8 minutes. Like, setting him through a barricade, suplexing him, setting up a table, and then powerbombing Naito through it, then hitting a DDT on the timekeeper's area, and Naito was bleeding from his eye. This wasn't apparently a blade. And honestly, I kept thinking throughout the match, okay, yes, I know he's probably hurt, bleeding probably, but why do I keep thinking that's kind of badass looking? Yeah, just add some makeup to it, like clean off the blood, add some makeup to make it look like it's blood, and he can actually look pretty badass, more so. But sure enough, this wasn't what you would think it would be a Chris Jericho Tetsuya Naito match. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people were expecting high, superb technical wrestling. Now, this was a brawling wrestling. In fact, Chris Jericho had said he was going to do the one thing he would probably do left to get heat. And that's be Brock Lesnar. And what I mean by that, be a self-entitled, part-timing lazy ass. Except without all the laziness. And actually will put in the effort. It actually has reasons to be a part-timer, whereas Lesnar has none. But anyways, as I can continue my rambling incoherence on how much I do not like the Brock Lesnar as much as I used to, because he's become increasingly annoying with his lazy part-timing work and lack of defense. So, yeah, this match, I love more that the referee gave so much leeway with the whole choking Jericho with the pants, setting him through the barricade, doing the same thing that Jericho did, and hitting a pile driver on the timekeeper's table. And the commentators referenced Terry Funk and Ric Flair's feud, which begs this one question: how much do you think Vince is going to get pissed that they mentioned that? So, yeah. Tetsuya Naito and Chris Jericho, I was predicting throughout this entire thing is, okay, when is Tetsuya Naito going to win? Nope. Jericho, when the referee's down, hits a low blow and another code breaker and gets the pin. Yes. That seriously happened. Jericho is now, and I would like to say this, a 10-time Intercontinental Champion. 9 title reigns in WWE, 1 title reign in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then continues assaulting Naito after the match, hitting Naito with the title, and then hitting Naito again with a regular bell before Evil came out and made the save. Jericho took a powder and left raising the title belt. Yeah, that wasn't the Jericho we saw in Wrestle Kingdom 12, but I was still loving this match, mostly because how Jericho is completely continuously reinventing himself as a crazed lunatic brawler. And I was thinking, like, please don't go back to WWE, they'll wreck you. Especially with the contentious nature it develops. But, this was insane. It wasn't like Wrestle Kingdom's no DQ match with Kenny Omega. I felt it was going to be hard to top that for a while. But, with the thing we got, it works pretty well. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Don't judge me on this. And now we get to the main event. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada in a 2-out-of-3 falls match with no time limit for the IWGP Championship of the World. How do I say this? Let's see. It's something that a lot of people were saying about this match when they saw it. It starts with an A. It's pronounced, art. That's the only way I can say that this was art. This was living art. And I like to say this first and foremost. They had done a video package showing all the IWGP champions, including Lazy Lesnar, who has a lot of controversy with New Japan Pro Wrestling, like stealing the title, keeping it for himself, and defending it somewhere else, and dropping it to Kurt Angle and not being officially recognized afterwards. But of course, who cares about that past incident? Because Lesnar seriously doesn't care. So Lesnar was always kind of a nutcase when it comes to his power. But anyways, they outline Omega's journey back to challenging for the championship. They show all these championship runs, and I was like, I'm going to just say this first and foremost. People are probably going to get pissed when I say this. Up until this match, I have not watched any of Kenny Omega's matches with Kazuchika Okada. I didn't watch their first encounter. I didn't watch their second encounter. I didn't watch their third encounter. This was their fourth encounter, and I watched it. It was art. It was beautiful. And it was very effective, simple storytelling. Kazuchika Okada nominates Kenny Omega for a challenger. So they put a simple, effective story and make one of the greatest matches of all time. WWE may have Undertaker and HBK in their belt of greatest matches of all time in WWE, but do they have greatest match of all time in wrestling? I'm pretty sure Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada will make that case that they are in fact the best. And there are no ways to describe this. This was glorious storytelling. This was glorious fighting. I loved that as time went on, their energy and prowess started to wither and they started getting slower, throwing shots that really had no power in them. I love that. I love the 2-minute breaks they did that didn't involve them attacking one another like a certain Iron Man match between the Viper and the C Nation leader. Yeah, I'm still not really liking that part. I love the finishers. I loved all this. It was so perfect. And if I watch the other matches, I will have more layers and appreciate this match more that they got here. And here's the big kicker. Kenny Omega won. He is now 2 for 2 against Kazuchika Okada. And this time, it was for the title. He is now... Kenny Omega is now IWGP Heavyweight Champion of the World! And sure enough, this is beautiful. Afterwards, we get a furthermore added depth into this. The Young Bucks coming out, embracing Kenny Omega, reaffirming their old friendship after what happened at Best of the World pay-per-view, which I will get into in time, since we still need to discuss Bullet Club Civil War. Ibushi joined in on the hug. Kenny joined in on the hug. And then Kenny Omega cuts this promo first in Japanese. And then he speaks in English, saying he's seen the future of wrestling and that he and Ibushi and the Bucks can do anything with the people behind them. And sure enough, as they're celebrating, Cody Rhodes arrives, and he is not happy. Oh, and with Kenny Omega's music, it just made me think, okay, is this a dramatic prelude to a boss battle? Because it does feel like it. And then he turned and left. Like, nah, I'm not going to do this. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the Young Bucks have hired a commentator from, I think it was Don Callis, to do commentary at All In. That means All In is probably going to likely be streamed live. I cannot wait to see that, hopefully. So anyways, they had to work this match. It was an hour long. Like, let's see. It was an hour. It went over an hour. It was an hour, 4 minutes, and 50 seconds long. It was close to being an hour and 5 minutes. 10 more seconds. Like, I can say a lot of things. This is something WWE will never do. Yes, they have an Iron Man match, but that's more like a mandatory thing, and they'll usually try and cop out and say, oh, it's a 30-minute Iron Man match nowadays, because an hour long is asking too much apparently now. In fact, when was the last time they did do an hour-long match? I keep thinking back to, was it Bayley and Sasha Banks, or was it Cena and Orton? Yeah, I think it was Cena and Orton. I think Bayley and Sasha Banks was 30 minutes. But Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada was a 2 out of 3 falls match. They could have ended it after, like, what, 40 minutes? And it still probably would have been great, but the additional 24 minutes made it more and more perfect. But I love this show. I love this rise in wrestling. Now there's more places to go to. There's more places to watch. There's more places to enjoy. And I'm loving every moment of it. And I do not intend on stopping. I love all these added layers they put in with the Kenny Omega storyline, especially with Cody. You got direct continuity with Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada's history in the past year. You got the Young Bucks storyline with him and the faltering friendship and eventually reaffirmation of it. You got Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega reconnecting. Then you got Cody Rhodes being the dastardly bastard that he is, trying to rain on their parade. You got All In being mentioned. You got Being the Elite kicking on the story. Oh, and by the way, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Kota Ibushi have now formed a new group, the Golden Elites. So, these 4 matches alone make this show worth watching. Just these 4 matches. I could skip the rest if I want. I'd probably watch them one day. And I could probably get more enjoyment than some of the bigger matches WWE has produced, but they still suck at points, or they cop out on something really good going. And yeah, but this also serves to build on the Bullet Club Civil War storyline. In fact, I'm going to say it. I'll say it when I close out the video. Dominion was awesome. I love these 4 matches. I cannot wait what's going to happen. I really hope Kenny Omega actually keeps that title and main event Wrestle Kingdom next year. Because really, I think some people might like Kazuchika Okada. How many times has he main evented Wrestle Kingdom from what I've heard? He's main evented it constantly. There was one time he was supposed to main event with Tetsuya Naito, but Tetsuya Naito wasn't accepted by the fans, so they changed it. So, yeah, I get the feeling if they had let that match be the main event, then Kazuchika Okada would have main evented like, what, six shows in a row? Which, honestly, I was like, oh wow, people hate Roman Reigns for main eventing 4 times in a row. I'm like, granted, because New Japan and WWE operate much differently. We get organic pushing, and if something is not going well, they change that plan and give... Actually, that was voted by the fans. I've already covered that in the New Japan Wrestle Kingdom video. But, whereas WWE is like, you will love this! Love this now! So... those were my thoughts on the top matches of New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion 2018. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more. And the shroud of Bullet Club Civil War has passed. Begun. The Golden Bullet War has.